Imagine you are the most powerful human being on the planet. You are the Emperor of Rome. You command legions that stretch across continents, and your wealth is beyond calculation. Every luxury is at your fingertips, and every whim of yours is a command. Now, imagine that instead of enjoying this power, you spend your nights in a cold military tent on the edges of a brutal frontier, writing to yourself. You aren't writing about glory or conquest. You are writing about how to deal with people who annoy you, how to handle the fear of death, and how to remain a good person when the world around you is falling apart. This is the reality of Marcus Aurelius. He wrote a private journal that was never meant for our eyes, a book we now call Meditations. It is perhaps the most profound guide to life ever written, not by a guru in a studio, but by a warrior king in the trenches. Today, we're going to dissect this masterpiece and look at why it's more relevant in our digital age than it was in ancient Rome. If you're tired of feeling overwhelmed by a world you can't control, stay tuned, because this is a deep dive into the fortress of the mind. Before we begin, hit that like button and subscribe to join our community, as it truly helps the channel grow. To appreciate the words, you must understand the man. Marcus Aurelius didn't ask for the throne. He was a student of philosophy, a quiet soul who was thrust into power during Rome's darkest hour. His reign was a sequence of disasters, including a plague that killed millions, Germanic tribes that were constantly invading, and his own trusted generals who betrayed him. Marcus practiced Stoicism, but not the cold version we see in movies. For him, Stoicism was a psychological toolkit. He used it to bridge the gap between his ideal self and the chaotic reality of his job. When you read Meditations, you are reading a man's struggle to stay sane. He repeats certain ideas because he is training his brain. Like an athlete doing reps in the gym, Marcus was doing mental reps to strengthen his character against the storms of fate. The single most important concept in the book is the dichotomy of control. Marcus breaks the world into two very clear boxes. Box A represents things you control, and Box B represents everything else. Box B includes the weather, the economy, what your boss thinks of you, and even the past. Marcus argues that most of our suffering comes from trying to reach into Box B and change things we cannot touch. When you worry about a viral tweet or a delayed flight, you are effectively trying to control the wind. It's an impossible task that leads to a broken spirit. Box A, however, contains your opinions, your intentions, and your reactions. Marcus suggests a radical shift, which is to measure your success not by the outcome, but by your effort. If you give it your best, you have already won regardless of the result. This mindset makes you invincible because your happiness is no longer a hostage to external events. One of the most relatable parts of Meditations is how Marcus deals with people. He famously wrote that the people you deal with today will be ungrateful, violent, and selfish. But here is the twist. He doesn't tell you to hate them. He tells you to understand them. Marcus believes that people only do wrong out of ignorance because they simply don't know any better. Next time someone cuts you off in traffic or leaves a mean comment, don't take it personally. Their behavior is a reflection of their internal chaos, not your worth. He uses the metaphor of the untainted spring. If you stand by a clear spring and scream at it, the water remains pure. Be like that spring. Your internal character should be so deep and clear that the insults of others simply sink to the bottom without changing your purity. Most people pray for their problems to go away, but Marcus does something braver. He prays for the strength to welcome them. This is the concept of Amor Fati, or the love of fate. Think of a fire. If you put a small candle in the wind, it blows out. But if you have a massive bonfire, the wind actually makes it grow. Marcus wanted his mind to be a bonfire. He believed that every obstacle is actually fuel. If someone blocks your path, they are giving you a chance to practice patience. Stop seeing challenges as bad luck and start seeing them as training partners. The universe is giving you a workout so you can grow stronger. This removes the victim mentality entirely. You aren't someone things happen to. You are someone who uses what happens to build something better. Finally, we must talk about the reality of time. Marcus lived in an age where death was everywhere. Instead of hiding from it, he looked it in the face. Memento mori means, remember, you must die. To many, this sounds depressing, but to Marcus, it was the ultimate source of clarity. He wrote that you could leave life right now, and you should let that determine what you do, say, and think. When you realize that your time is limited, you stop wasting it on trivialities, you stop holding grudges, and you stop procrastinating. Death is the filter that washes away the nonsense of life, leaving only what is essential. It's not about fearing the end, it's about using the end to give the present more flavor and intensity. Marcus Aurelius died in the year 180. He never knew his diary would survive, or that 2,000 years later, we would be discussing his private thoughts. His legacy isn't the territory he conquered, but the inner citadel he built. He proved that even in the highest position of power, surrounded by great stress, a human being can remain calm, kind, and free. You don't need to be an emperor to build your own citadel, you just need to change the quality of your thoughts. As Marcus said, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. So, what color is your soul today? If this wisdom resonated with you, please share this video with someone who needs it. Which of these principles will you try today? Let me know in the comments. Until next time, keep building your inner fortress.